Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on our authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hi, welcome from Reno, Nevada, the biggest little city in the world. I'm Joseph GIAMPAPA, and I think you know who you are, so let's get started. Here at the Festival of Storytellers, basically we're here to tell you a little bit about our books, about what we do. If you go to whatiwillican.com, that's the website that has all my books on there and explanatives and things about the different books. And it's kind of interesting because I basically am a self-empowerment specialist. I deal with self-actualization, and all my books deal with self-help, basically kind of guidebooks to help you get through life, if you will, to make your life a little more easy, if you will, a higher quality, if you will, to help you become the success that you always wanted to become. This first book, called What I Will, I Can, basically was designed to be an easy read. When I say easy read, you could probably sit down and read it in 2 or 3 hours. I developed it basically for someone like picking up a book at the airport and reading it on the plane. By the time they get off the plane, they read the book. Okay, this book is basically designed as a handbook or a guidebook for life, if you will. It's got a lot of precepts in it, like 21 precepts in it, little hints and tips and things to make your day go a little smoother, a little better. Again, if you go to this website, you'll see a lot of commentary on there from people who have the books and use the books. This book is made not to be read from cover to cover and then put on the shelf. It's made, as I mentioned earlier, to be like a guidebook, a little handbook or something. So there's, as a matter of fact, there's one comment on this, the comment section there with a woman who says she keeps the book on the front seat of her car, and it's all dog-eared and everything else. And if she's going through something, she goes to the book, opens it up to a particular aspect in there, and it kind of, excuse me, kind of helps her through that part. Okay, so again, What I Will, I Can, a little handbook to help you out. This one is more like a workbook. It's called Unleash the Super You Within. And this book is kind of interesting because there are parts in this book that are kind of fill in the blank. And if you start doing that and fill in the blanks and things, what it'll do, it'll give you kind of an assessment of where you're at this point in your life. And if you go a little further and fill in some more of the words, fill in some more of the blanks and things, it'll kind of get you a little closer to your destination of where you want to be. It asks questions like, what makes your heart sing? What kinds of things bring you joy? This kind of thing. And by filling all of this out and everything, it kind of gives you a guide in a particular direction and will kind of get you to where you want to be and where you want to end up. You might say this book is a blueprint for success, as one person said. So this is kind of an interesting little book. This book here is called Tools for Life. And this is an interesting thing. This basically is like a little journal, okay, to write in on a daily basis, keep track of things, and to give you a little positive support. So basically, that's what it's all about. I'm a lecturer by profession. I deal, as I mentioned, in self-actualization, self-empowerment, and the whole reason basically is trying to help people bring out their potential, because we are born loaded with potentiality, but unfortunately, a lot of us don't use it. You know, Zig Ziglar, one of the greatest motivators of our time, said it's really sad that so many people go to their graves with their songs unsung. And how true that is. Think about that. What a waste of humanity. How many inventions that we'll never know of. How many great concertos or songs we'll never hear because of that. Don't let that be you. You have all of this potential inside of you, and we'll never know what you're capable of doing, and neither will you unless you go for it. That's very important, okay? It has nothing whatsoever to do with the color of your skin, how much education you have, how old you are. None of that matters. You came into this world pre-packaged with all of this wonderful stuff, all of this incredible stuff. And as I said, we don't know all you're capable of, and neither do you until you start to bring it out. Isn't it time you start to share it with the world? And again, all these other factors, age, education, all this stuff, none of that matters. And you know, a real big one now seems to be age. So many people say things like, well, maybe I could have done it when I was younger, but I'm older now, so I can't do it. No such thing. No such thing. Okay? The only limits you have are the limits you impose on yourself. That's all it is. Any limit you have is self-imposed. Remove your limits and watch your success. It's absolutely amazing, because you are such an incredible package. Think about that. There has never been, ever, another human being exactly like you. There never will be again. Doesn't that make you special? How beautiful, how rare, how unique you are. Isn't it time to share who and what you are? How sad if you just kind of sit up, bump on a log, as they say, and waste that. You have all this goodness inside of you, all this talent, all these skills. Shouldn't you be bringing them out and sharing them with us? You're not the only one that benefits, so will we. The world becomes a better place if you learn to become all you were meant to become. It's awesome. You know, if you have a little rose seed and you plant it, let it get water, let it get sun, and let it blossom and become what it's supposed to come, it comes this magnificent, beautiful rose bush, right? With these beautiful roses and everything. It's awesome. But it would never be any of that stuff if it's just a single little seed. Okay, we got a question that says, why did you choose this genre of your book? Who inspired you to do this? Good question. Good question. I worked with a lot of at-risk kids throughout my life. I worked with abused women. I had a private practice, and I was amazed to see how many people are down on themselves. How many people, I don't want to say waste their lives, but they go through the same motions day in and day out, and then they say, my life sucks. Well, duh, do something about it, okay? We are not victims. And unfortunately now, especially during this COVID stuff and these last couple of years, it's been a mess. So many people feel they're totally ineffective, and they say, why try? I'm just going to go through the motions. And, 8 to 5 every day, come home, eat dinner, watch TV, go to bed. And you think, how sad, because you have all this potential inside of you. That doesn't change regardless of the situation of society or where the world is now. You still have all this great potential inside of you to do all these great things. We are creators. We come into this world pre-packaged, okay? You have all this great stuff to share with us. I know some people say, well, not me. Maybe he, because he's got, this guy's somebody or that girl somebody, but not me. Yes, you. Trust me on this one. There is no such thing as an insignificant human being. It simply doesn't exist. Every one of us has this incredible potential inside. Each one of us is so incredibly special, but we'll never know it unless we start to bring it out and share it. I had a friend from Ireland. He used to say, if you wake up and you're breathing, you still have stuff to do. You still have stuff to share. Isn't it time you learn to bring that stuff out? Isn't it time you learn to share and help other people? To me, it's such a waste to see people not using all this potential inside of them. It doesn't mean they're going to be an instant success. No way. They're going to probably fall on their face first couple of times or whatever, but you got to keep going because you will make it, okay? Just like that little rose seed we talked about. If you plant it, water it, and let it get sun and light and nurture it, it's going to become a rose bush with beautiful roses. It has no choice. It's not going to become a carrot. It's not going to become a cucumber. It's not going to become a squirrel. It's going to become a rose because that was pre-programmed. You understand? Another question. Nice to see you live. Okay, yeah. I like what you're discussing on your booth about self-empowerment, adding in a little humor of your sessions, perhaps in a little more jokes about Uncle Nunzio. Somebody's giving away some things here. Yeah. I have to qualify that a little bit. I started out in life as a stand-up comedian. I worked out of the Midwest for years, and then I went to Europe. I lived out of England. I worked all of military bases in Germany and so on. And I use a lot of humor. I grew up in the south side of Chicago and everything. I went to school in Cicero, Al Capone's town. Very tough town. I mean, if you had all your teeth, you were considered a sissy, right? But my town was very tough, so I kind of used humor just to survive, if you will. But I look at humor as kind of the grease to make the wheels of life go around. Humor is a very good thing. And thank you about Uncle Nunzio, because he's a real card, and I'll tell you some more about him a little later. But he's a very interesting guy. Okay, my Uncle Nunzio. But yeah, I got into the field of self-actualization because I saw so many people really down on themselves. And to me, that's a total waste. How sad. I think we all need to be true to ourselves and be all we were meant to be. I think that's an Army slogan or something, right? Be all you can be. And I think that's so cool because it's so true. It's so true. As I mentioned earlier, there's no such thing as an insignificant human being. It simply doesn't exist. But some of us go out, we try something, we fail at it, and suddenly we close up again. Well, I'm not going to try that anymore. But that's not the way to do it. Because failure is an inherent part of success. It's part of success. You can't succeed unless you have some failures. And that's the truth. That's kind of part of the universal package, if you will. In order to succeed, you're going to fall on your face a couple of times at least, maybe 1,000 times, who knows? But failure is a part of success. So expect that right from the get-go, okay? But don't give up. That's the key. The only time you fail is when you quit. You have to make it if you're prepackaged to go that way. And you say, well, how do I know what my prepackage is? Well, you don't until you try. We don't know all that you're capable of, and neither do you until you go for it. Okay? You've got to tap into that. Some people say, well, how do I do that? You don't really have to do anything other than start listening. Start feeling what's inside, because it's going to come out. It's going to come out in the form of inspiration, intuition, those kinds of things. You know, the word inspiration, the root of that word comes from two other words, in spirit. So the word inspire means in spirit. So it's coming from your higher self, your God self, if you will, the universe, whatever. But it's that inner voice, that inner feeling coming from your heart, your higher self, telling you kind of the directions to go in. Okay, you'll know. Usually by the time you're an adult, you pretty much know where you lean. Are you the peacemaker? Are you the leader of the group? Different things will kind of surface and show you, give you an inkling of where you should be going, the direction you should be going. And again, as I said, you got to bring them out and try them. It has nothing to do with failure, because you're gonna fall on your face sometimes, no question about it. You know, if you saw that when I'm not out live on here, I have a little video, and in the video I talk about, for example, walking, to me, which is phenomenal. Because let's face it, when you were a little person, right, 10 months old, 15 months old, whatever, you had this little tiny brain and everything. You weren't this magnificent person you are now. You didn't have this big brain you have now and everything. But you were this little bitty thing, right? And you looked around, you saw people walking around, and you thought, oh, hey, man, that's really cool. I think I want to try that. You got up, you tried to take a couple of steps, you fell flat on your face, hit your chin, hurt yourself. Wow. Got up, tried it again, skinned your knee. Did you quit? No. You kept going. You kept trying every day until one day you started to walk, and how cool that was. You know, I do lectures, I told you, sometimes auditorium, 500 people, 1,000 people, whatever. And afterwards, they all, they line up and everything. We shake hands and hug and everything. And I've never had a single person crawl up to me. And I say, what are you doing down there? Oh, I don't do that walking thing. I tried it once. I fell down, hurt my chin. I don't like it. No. Every one of us saw something we wanted to do, and we did it. You still have that spirit inside of you. Use it. We have a question here. Okay, nobody in life started something and became a master immediately. They always have a phase of trial and error before getting where they are successfully. Oh, that's from Giles. Exactly. Exactly. Nothing's going to be instant success. There's no such thing, really. If you know of somebody, I'd like to know about it. We all have to fall on our face, if you will, get bruised a little bit, take the hard knocks a little bit to get to where we want to go. You have to understand, success is always outside of our comfort zone, okay? Always. So in order to succeed, you have to push the envelope. You have to venture out there, and it's going to be a little dangerous. You're going to fall on your face a couple of times, perhaps. You're going to encounter some negativity, but you're going to make it if you keep going. I tell people to think of a pinball machine. You pull the handle, boing, and the ball starts going out and everything, but then it starts going off course a little bit. So what do? There's a flipper, bang, you knock it back on course, and it's going forward, and then it starts going off the other way. So there's another flipper, and bang, you knock it back on course. And so the idea is to get it to where you want it to go, and so it's bang, boom, bing, okay, until you get it to where you want it to go. That's how life is. You're going to get these bangs, you're going to get these booms and everything to get you back on course, to get you back to where you want to be, your desired goal. Why do you think they call it the school of hard knocks, right? They say life is the school of hard knocks. Every one of those bangs, every one of those booms and everything is to get you back on track, to get you back on where you belong, to become all you were meant to become, okay? You have a lot of help. Believe it or not, it's in there. Okay, but the key, again, start to listen to those little prompts inside of you, those little pushes, little intuitions, little inspirations. All those things are really important. But unfortunately, and I got to tell you this now, because of the society we live in, we have become a nation of multitaskers, and I blame a lot of that on our society. and everything, Madison Avenue with all the commercials and everything. We have to be doing, 76 things at once, right? I know a guy, he comes home from work, first thing he does, go in the mailbox, takes out all the letters, start looking through the letters while he's unlocking his door. He goes inside, first thing he does is turn on the radio. He's got music playing, he's looking through all the letters, walks into the front room and turns on the TV to get the news and everything. He's still got the radio on, right? He's got the radio on, he's watching TV here, and he's looking through his letters. We are multitaskers now, and that's so sad because research is bearing out that the best multitaskers there are at the most are 60% effective in any one of the things they're doing. So try to take everything aside and focus on one thing at a time. Another question. I court a girl, but she keeps refusing my feelings for her. Should I continue or give up? I really like her. That's a little different situation here now, as they say. Okay? Because you can do all that you choose to do, but she's a whole different entity. So there's no guarantee that she's going to accept all that you are doing. Okay? Again, Einstein talks about everything in life being a vibration. And literally, a rock vibrates, a table vibrates, you and I vibrate. We all have vibes, okay? And this is why in the 60s and stuff, they use that terminology. Hey, man, he's got good vibes. Or, or boy, he's got terrible, vibes. Because we all do vibrate and stuff. And in a good relationship, whether you realize it or not, it's very harmonic. People blend with their vibes. They kind of are the same vibration. You'll feel this sometimes. You go near a person and say, I don't know what it is, but I just feel there's something between us. It's because the vibes are there. So what I'm saying is the antithesis also, if the vibes aren't there, you could do all you want and she's going to probably reject you because she's not feeling it. She's not getting it. Okay. So I would say, try your best, do as much as you can. But if it doesn't seem to be working in that particular case, it's never going to work because you're mismatched. Okay, there's no real vibration connection. Okay, but so dealing with people is a little different than dealing with a particular goal or something like that, because we're all variables, and it's really interesting. Makes life interesting. That's why we're all here to learn, right? But but good luck with that. Hopefully, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't be persistent in some cases, because sometimes people are just reticent or shy, and so persistence does work. So keep trying until finally you think, well, I've tried long enough. Okay, another question here. Focus on one thing at a time. Doing things at the same time leads to distractions, thus reduced efficiency. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I mentioned earlier. Research says the best we can do when we're multitasking is 60% efficiency of any one thing. Okay? Which is really kind of sad. I'm up there in years, certainly, and I have a lot of younger friends and everything who tease me a lot of times, and they say, I never see you multitasking. You're always locked into one particular thing. And I say, yeah. And they say, boy, is that old-fashioned. And I say, no, it's not. I think it's very efficient, because if you're focused on one thing, usually if you're really in the zone, so to speak, you could come up with, 90%, 80, 100% perhaps even efficiency. Whereas when you multitask, you water it down. Okay, so learn to start to focus on things. I have people who literally cannot sit with themselves. I say, you ever try to sit down and just be still? No. If they shut the television off, shut the radio off and everything, and they're sitting in their front room chair or something, they'll sit there and they'll be looking around, tap, 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 tap. They got to get into something else. Heaven forbid they should be alone with themselves. But let's face it, you're the only one that's going to be with you for the rest of your life. Shouldn't you learn to get along with yourself? I got to tell you, I'm a communication specialist. I work with communication my whole life, dealing with self-empowerment, communication, this kind of stuff. And I tell people, isn't it time you learn to become your own best friend instead of your worst critic? Imagine how far you could go if you were your own best friend instead of your worst critic. Think about that. When you have a best friend and you're going with your best friend who's going to a job interview or something, and the friend comes out and you say, how did you do? And they say, I didn't get it. What do? You say, hey, come on, there'll be other jobs and everything. An intelligent person like you, remember you got all A's in school and everything, you're going to get the next one. And we build them up, right? What happens if we don't get it? We go for a job, come out, well, Klutzo, you did it again. You're just a big failure. Yeah. No, not anymore. Learn to become your own best friend. Because let's face it, you're the only guy that's going to be with you for the rest of your life. Isn't it time you learn to get along with yourself? Plus, it's amazing how far you could go if you start to believe in yourself, if you start to love yourself. Now, this is interesting, because unfortunately, we tend to confuse this with conceit. Loving yourself and believing in yourself has nothing whatsoever to do with conceit. Because let's face it, you didn't create you, right? I mean, God created you, the universe, mom and dad, whatever, but not you. So it's okay for you to take pride in this beautiful package that you are. It's okay to take pride in your intelligence, your caring, your sharing, your wonderfulness. There's nothing wrong with that. You came into this world pre-packaged. Learn to love all that stuff. It's in there, trust me. You probably heard me say this before. It's like Prego spaghetti sauce. It's in there. That used to be their slogan. It's in there, all the good stuff. And that's you. It's in there. You came into this world an incredible being, intelligent, loving, caring, sharing, empathic. All of these things are in there. Start to use them. Okay? That's what life's all about, using all of your talents and skills. Mae West, I love that woman. I read a lot of her biographies and stuff like that. And she said something really neat before she passed away. She said, I would rather wear out than rust out. And you think, right on. I would rather wear out than rust out. She used everything she had, okay? She was incredible. She even wrote the movies she starred in. She scripted all the movies and everything else. So that's how it should be with you. You're walking around a success waiting to happen. As I mentioned earlier, we'll never know all these beautiful things that you're capable of doing, and neither do you unless you do it. That's how it is, folks. Okay, again, Zig Ziglar said so many people go to their graves with their songs unsung. What a waste of humanity. Think about that. How many beautiful things we could have been exposed to that we'll never know. Great inventions, wonderful arias, songs, beautiful paintings. We'll never know. Another question. What if your best friend is facing a deep problem, but you used to be tactless to him or her? Is it okay to be tactless to a problematic person? Oh, wow. Here we go. Okay, first of all, let me qualify this. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, okay? I'm a communication specialist. I deal with communication and self-actualization. So every situation is different. If you're a tactless person, first of all, you acknowledge it. Obviously, you see that you're a tactless person. Being tactless is not always the best way to go, certainly. Okay, being tactless, you might say, is being very blunt. Okay, none of us wants to hear something very blunt. Hopefully somebody can bring it to us as far as constructive criticism. We want it to come a little softer. You said, is it okay to be tactless to a problematic person? That's kind of your call. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer in that particular case. Sometimes you got to face things head on. So to be blunt probably it's probably warranted in certain situations. But again, I always say, do you want to be right or do you want to be kind? The key to everything is kindness, first of all. Okay, if this person is quote unquote your friend, then friendship involves kindness and caring. Okay, you never want to do anything that's really hurtful. Okay, because there's no real effect, a positive effect with that, obviously. Okay, the idea of a best friend is to build somebody up. Okay, And that's it. That's all of it. There are only two states of life. Either we are growing or we are dying. Our job with each other is to help build each other up and help them to grow, help them to thrive, help them nurture them, help them to prosper. Okay? Always pre-think. You say you're tactless and stuff. Pre-think what's going to happen when you say what you say. Is it going to make that person a better person? Is it going to truly help that person? Or is it going to just anger that person or add to the problem? If it does, then I would say don't do it. Okay? But again, I'm not trying to back out of this right now. I'm just saying that this is pretty much up to you. Okay? Because we're all different, and you can talk to 10 people, and 10 people will give you different answers. You'll get 10 different answers. Okay? Again, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a communication specialist. I deal in that regard. And I always say communication needs to be a positive thing. It needs to be building people up, not tearing people down. Okay? So that's the name of that tool. Okay? Anyway, we were talking earlier about bringing out some of these gifts that you have. Because indeed, every person is a gift to this planet, whether you realize it or not. As I keep emphasizing, there's no such thing as an insignificant person. You can see a homeless person on the street or something, and you think, what a waste. What a worthless person. That's not a worthless person. That person still has all that potentiality inside, if he chooses or she chooses to use it. But obviously, at this point in time, they don't. Okay? We are not victims. Understand that. If you remember nothing else from our little talk here today, we are not victims. Okay? So many people say, what can I do? I'm just me. I'm a nobody. Watch your talk. We'll talk about that a little later. These books deal with the subconscious and programming and reprogramming the subconscious. Okay? And it's all based on what you say with your mouth. And that's very important. So many people say negative things about themselves with their mouth, and it goes in their ear, it programs them, and boom. Then they wonder why they fail. Okay? They tell themselves to fail, whether you realize it or not. Research is bearing out that as much as 85% of society in the Western world programs themselves to fail every day. We put all these self-imposed limits on ourselves. We say, I can't do it anymore. Maybe when I was younger, I could do it and everything, but now I'm older, so I can't do it. Okay, you can't do it. We just put a limit on ourselves. Okay? I don't know what it is, but I always seem to gain weight and everything, no matter what I eat, I seem to gain weight. Okay, you'll gain weight. Boom. I mean, we're forever putting these things on us. We're implanting all kinds of negative programming, and you have to watch that because that's really important. I was going to finish my doctorate on work with the subconscious and everything, and I did a lot of research, and I found out in the 60s, especially, the Russians were so ahead of us with all of this mind control and working with the subconscious and the conscious. It was phenomenal. And when the Cold War ended, they shared all their information with us, and it was wonderful because they were eons ahead of us. Excuse me. And we found out, well, they found out actually, and they shared with us some amazing things. And for example, they found out when we're born, we come into this world with a unique voice. In other words, literally, there are no two voices on the face of this earth exactly alike. Okay? Somebody may sound like, him and her and stuff and that, but technically with the modulation, the voice tones and different things, they're not. Your voice is very unique unto you. Okay? For example, an audio specialist can have you record a command like, pick up the book, and you record it. And then you can go to 499 other people that everybody sounds just like you, and they record it, pick up the book, pick up the book, pick up the book. And he scrambles them all up, and you could sit there and listen to all of them. But the moment you hear your particular voice, your conscious mind, your subconscious especially, will perk up and listen. Because here's what the Russians found out. The Russians found out when we're born, we come in with a matched set. Our subconscious is tied directly to the sound of our voice. Now that's phenomenal, really, when you think about it. It should have been the headlines of newspapers in America all over the place, but it wasn't, because that's key. And what does that mean? Simply this: no matter what you say with your mouth at any time, it will go in your ear and tend to program you. So you've got to watch. Very, very important. Watch what you say, because the subconscious is a very unique aspect, okay, within our head. Very interesting, because what do we know about the subconscious? Simply this. Number one, the subconscious never sleeps, okay? It's forever vigilant, 24/7. It's always on the alert, listening, okay? Number two, the subconscious has no reasoning factor. There's no cognition. The subconscious cannot think. Now that's important. The subconscious can't think. All it is a programming aspect of your being. Do you understand? It's almost like a tape recorder. Whatever is programmed into it, it records it. And it's the subconscious. And number three, it's the subconscious job to get you to be or do whatever is programmed into it. Okay, it's exactly like putting a program into your computer. Your computer has to do whatever the program told it to do. That's how you are, literally. You are doing today all the things that you pre-programmed yesterday or the day before or last year in your subconscious, whether you realize it or not. So be very, very careful what you say with your mouth, because it goes in your ear and programs you. Now that's some big time stuff. And again, as I said, research is bearing out so many of us in society every day of our lives program ourselves to fail. We put all these self-imposed limits on ourselves. That's interesting, you know, because if you take away those limits, boom, you'd be amazed at your success. You'd be amazed at the things you could do if you didn't put those limits on yourself. You know, I told a story, I think a couple of days ago or so, about a neat guy in Australia by the name of Cliff Young, okay? And I talked about a special race that there is in this world that a lot of people don't even know exists. You know, we think of the Olympics and all that stuff, but there's a race that's a 600-kilometer race. 600 kilometers. That comes out to 375 miles. I tracked it out one time. So a 600-kilometer race, and it's every 5 years in the world, okay? And runners come from all over the world and everything, the famous runners and everything, and they run this race, 600 kilometers. Anyway, one year this race was in Australia. I think it was from Sydney to somewhere else or something. 600 kilometers, right? And different people were coming in from all over the world with their special ergonomic shoes, you know, $800 shoes and everything. A lot of people had been pre-studying on the computer the trajectory of their feet and everything, analyzing all of this and this and this. And all these great runners were coming in and signing up. And there were, you know, news media from all over the world. You know, CNN was there, Fox News, NBC, CBS, all this stuff from the United States. All these guys, everybody was there, you know, to see this special race. Now, all these guys are signing up, and old Cliff Young, heard about it. Now, Cliff Young had his own little ranch, okay, but they don't call them ranches in Australia. They call them stations, right? So Cliff Young had this little station, kind of like a farm ranch combination, and he heard about it, and he said, oh, I want to do that. So he comes moseying over to where they're signing up all these runners, right? And all these runners from all over the different countries are signing up and everything. And old Cliff, he comes in, he's got bib overalls on, okay, you know, like Farmer Brown, and he's got galoshes on. Remember galoshes? They're the like the rubber thing you pull over your shoes, you know, and so your feet don't get wet. He had galoshes somebody gave him that were 2 sizes too big. So he couldn't really take big steps. He had to swish his feet, because if he lifted his foot up, the galosh would fall off, right? So he comes swishing over to the table and he says, "Is this where you sign up for the big race?" And the woman looks at him and she says, yes. Do you have a friend that's a good runner? And he says, "Yeah, it's me." And the woman says, "I beg your pardon?" He said, "It's me. I want to sign up. I want to be in the race." Now, some of the news media and everything heard this, they go, "Oh, come on, we got to catch this." And so the news media got there and everything, and they're listening. And the woman looks at him and she says, "Excuse me, sir, but why do you think you're a good runner?" And he said, "Oh, I am." He said, on my station, he said, "I can't afford a horse." So he said, "I got to chase my own chickens and pigs and everything." And he said, "Boy, I'm fast." And everybody kind of laughed. And she said, "Okay, here you go." So, old Cliffy fills out the paperwork. Sure enough, the big day comes, the big race. Everybody's lined up and everything. The guy with the gun ready to start, and all of a sudden, bang, and everybody starts running off. And there's old Cliffy with everybody else, and he's swishing along. And it's kind of interesting now, because with this race, it takes a few days to run it, because it's so far, like say 375 miles. And they have a rule. The runners have a rule that they generally follow, and it's called the 18-6 rule, where they run for 18 hours and then they sleep and eat for 6, run for 18, sleep and eat for 6, and so on. Nobody told Cliffy about this. He just knew it's a race, so you got to run. So he kept running and running and running. Interestingly enough, long story short, Cliff Young wins the 600-kilometer race. And not only that, but get this, he came in a day ahead of the nearest competitor. Cliff Young, from this little ranch with galoshes and bib overalls, runs this race and wins it. Okay, now it's really interesting, because this, really upset the apple cart. It threw everybody into a tizzy. How could this guy do this? He's never ran before, blah, 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 blah. He didn't know all these rules. He just did what he thought he could do. And he did it. And the neat thing is, when they start analyzing it, on the computer and stuff, they found out and they realized, when you lift your foot up and make this arc and bring it down, and then you lift your next foot up and make an arc and bring it down, you're expending all of that energy. Old Cliffy, because he had big galoshes, he couldn't lift his leg up to make that arc. He just swished. So he was using a lot less energy. So consequently, he ends up finishing the race ahead of everybody else. He had all that stamina and energy. Isn't that interesting? Now, the kicker in this, the following 5 years, when the race ran again, I think it was the second and third place winner won, because they swished. So figure that out. So what am I saying? Simply this. Sometimes, as long as you don't place limits on yourself, like, I don't know all the stuff. I'm not a professional. I can't do it, because, you're putting limits on. Cliffy had no limits. He just knew he liked to run, so he ran. And he won. Okay, where did you get all your research about your book? Oh, that's interesting. First of all, my first book, What I Will, I Can. Interesting note here, a story, I guess. I lost my son in 2009. My son was, beyond a shadow of a doubt, my best friend. We were, like they say, thicker than grease. We talk every day and everything else. He was a terrific guy. I lost him, and it threw me for such a loop. Now, I live in Reno, Nevada, where we have hills and mountains and everything all over the place. I remember walking the hills day in and day out, sometimes 3 miles, sometimes 5, sometimes even 10 miles in a day, kind of shouting at the moon, talking to myself, yelling, why, how could this happen, blah, 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 day in and day out, month after month, until finally, after about a year or so, I start realizing, well, if I'm still here, obviously I have something to do. What is it? And I start answering questions, asking myself questions, answering them, so on and so forth, and start jotting down little notes as I went along. and stuff, even on the back of gum wrappers or whatever. And after about a year and a half, I found out I had a stack of all these little notes and inspirations and things. And I started to collate them, put them together, form an outline, and from that came the book. Okay, so you might say my books kind of write themselves, if you will. I just kind of collect them and edit them and put them together. Okay, I'm not like a novelist. I don't sit down and say, I'm going to write a book. Let me see now. Tap, 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 tap. What can I write? You know, I'm not that type of a person. The books, basically, you might say, are a result of other things, a compilation of ideas and notes and things that I found worked. I had a private practice for years. I worked with at-risk kids. I worked with abused women, substance abuse recoverers, and so on and so forth. So the book is kind of a compilation of things that work with people, for people throughout the years. And I tell people right in the book, I say, take what you want and use. If you don't like it, leave it. I won't be offended. These books are meant to help you go through life with a little more ease on a daily basis. Okay, little tips that seem to work for other people. Try them. If they work for you, how cool. If not, leave it alone. Go to something else. Okay, so these books basically are guidebooks. And again, like I say, they basically wrote themselves, if you will. I was the editor, the compiler of a lot of these inspirations and things. So I didn't sit down. It was never my idea initially to write a book. And then I found after I wrote the first one, and we got such reviews from it and everything, you know, I heard from people in Scotland. I've heard from a woman in Singapore. Somebody in Brazil told me they love my book, and so on and so forth. So I thought, wow, that's neat if we can help each other. So thus came my second book, and then my third. And so they're all basically books on self-actualization, self-help. The idea is to make your life better quality life. Get to be all you can be, if that's your desire. Okay, we're all here to help each other. Let's face it. Okay, we're all on this planet together. Shouldn't we work together? Shouldn't we help each other? Because actually, that's kind of what the big plan was all about, if you ask me. That's why we are all individual, why we're all unique, because it's our differences, our uniqueness. When you put them together, they fit together like a puzzle, and then the world can hum. It's almost like a German cuckoo clock. A German cuckoo clock, tick tock, works phenomenal. And if you open up, it's got like maybe 17 parts in there, all different, but yet they all harmonize. They all do their particular job with their particular skill. If there were 17 identical parts in there, it wouldn't work. But because they're different, because the parts are unique and fit together, that clock hums. And that's how it should be with us. By virtue of our differences coming together, the world would work phenomenally. But it doesn't. Why? I blame so much on Madison Avenue. Commercials. It's their goal, basically, to make us seem inadequate, because then they can sell us products. Do you understand? I remember Dial soap used to have a commercial that said, don't you use Dial? Don't you wish everybody did? No, I don't use it. I'll go home. I'm sorry. You know, they want us to feel inferior because then they can sell us the products, right? If you don't use the right hair color, you're a nobody. If you don't use the right deodorant, go home. Shame on you. Whatever. So we're forever trying to be like him or be like her or keep up with the Joneses. And you think, how sad? Because you're never going to make it. Because you're not like him. You're not like her. You're one of a kind. You're unique. That doesn't make you a weirdo. It makes you incredibly special. Think about that. Nelson Mandela, in his inaugural address, said, our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate, but that we're more powerful than we could ever imagine. Isn't that interesting? And that's how it is. We have so much potentiality inside of us. What a terrific world this could be if we all chose to bring it out. How cool that would be. And it could come out at any time. It's your choice. Everything in life is a choice. Understand that. You are exactly where you are in this world because that's where you put yourself. Okay? Someone says, I don't mind people see me as a weirdo. I accept it positively. There you go. Very good. I say you got the right attitude, only I wouldn't call yourself a weirdo. Find a different name because weirdo has kind of a negative connotation to it. Call yourself a beautiful, beautiful person, spontaneous person, whatever. A beautiful, innovative person, a creator, filled with wonderment. Okay? Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you follow your own, as Thoreau said, follow your own drummer. Okay? Some of us go to the beat of a different drum. That's what Thoreau said, right? But what he should have said is we all are born with the beat of a different drum. Okay, we are all unique and we are all special. Einstein said every person is a genius. This is Einstein now. He said every person is a genius. They just need to find the right niche, right? He said, but, for example, if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, the fish will forever think it's stupid. Does that sound familiar? And such is life, right? Too often we listen to other people and they tell us, you can't do it. Okay, I can't. You're not that good. Okay, I'm not. We tend to listen to other people. And that's sad because I got news for you. Everybody will have an opinion about us and it's usually wrong. Truly. The only opinion you need to concern yourself with is your own. Your opinion of you is the most important opinion in the world because your self-image is directly tied to your success. Raise your self-image and you raise your success. Trust me on that one. Okay? A lot of times people say my life sucks, I'm going nowhere and everything. You think, wow, what do you think about it? Oh, I hate myself. Duh. Your self-image is directly tied to your success. Remember that, okay? You can bring out all this good stuff in you if you start to realize you have it in you. You're a success waiting to happen. You came into this world pre-packaged. That's pretty much my goal in life. As long as I'm breathing, to tell people, come on, use who you are, what you are. Of course, it's a choice. If they say, I choose not to, then that's fine too, because it's their choice. But so many people don't realize what they have inside of them. They're a walking package of success. It's in there. But they got to go for it. They got to bring it out. They've got to fail a couple of times, a few times, lots of times, whatever. A few days ago, I talked about one time I was contracted by a CEO in a company. He wanted me to find a common thread with successful people. And, they could be inventors, they could be composers, they could be movie stars, whatever. But he said, find these successful people and see what's common to all of them. And I took it with a lot of zeal and everything because I was interested myself. And I remember I read biography after biography and all kinds of descriptors of people's lives. And it was fascinating. And I did find one thing that was common to every single solitary successful person. What do you think it was? Sure, the things you said, stamina, stick-to-itness, confidence, all those things were there in different levels, different people. But there was one thing which kind of blew my mind in every single person, and that was a string of failures. A string of failures, a series of failures, not a failure here and a failure there and down the road a failure. No, but a series of failures. And then came the success. Think about that. Okay, virtually every successful person had a string of failures, and then came the success. You know, I'm from the Chicago area, and back in Chicago, horse racing is very big, and at least it was when I was there. And there was a famous jockey by the name of Eddie Arcaro. Okay, he was the all-time purse winner in those days. I remember, won more money than any jockey ever in the world, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, what a lot of people don't realize, excuse me, is that Eddie Arcaro lost his first 45 races in a row. 45 races in a row this guy lost. Now imagine who would give this guy a horse, right? You know, have you ever won? Well, no, I haven't. You know, yet they gave the guy a horse. Imagine what was going through his mind when he got on the horse the 46th time, right? But he knew inside he had what it takes. So he gets on the horse and he starts running, bada-bup, bada-bup, bada-bup. And all of a sudden, bada-boom, bada-bing, he won his race. And the next race, he won. And the one thereafter, he won. Excuse me. And he started winning more and more and more until he became one of the best jockeys in the world. Interesting, huh? Now think about this. What have you ever done 45 times and failed at it? Probably nothing, huh? He did 45 times, but he knew inside he had what it takes to be a good jockey. So he kept going. He knew he had what it takes to show the world what he could do. So he kept going. He knew he was a good jockey. So he kept going. You getting what I'm talking about here? Think about it. What have you ever done 45 times and failed at it, but kept going? Let's face it, you try bowling once or twice. Well, I guess I stink at bowling. You try golf 3, 4 times. Well, I guess golf's not my game. But this guy, 45 times and he kept going. Why? Something inside him told him he had what it takes to be a good jockey. So he went anyway. And that's what it's all about. Start listening to that inner voice. Your knowingness is all that counts. Don't listen to other people, okay? Don't listen to other people and what other people say. Because I think, did I mention this earlier? I don't know. Sometimes I get tangled up because I say things different days and stuff. I don't know if I told you this or not, but Charlie Chaplin once went to a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest and came in third. True story. Yeah. The judges thought someone looked more like him than he did. You got that? Okay. So don't listen to other people because a lot of times, you know, they'll have opinions about you and it's completely wrong. The only thing that matters is what you think about you and what that inner voice is telling you. Start to listen to it because it's there for a reason. Remember, inspire. Your inspiration comes from in spirit. It's your heartfelt voice talking to you, your God self, if you will, your higher self, whatever. So start to listen to that inner voice because you could do it. You know, I could tell you a story about a guy who went in the Army, a lieutenant, and he came out a private. He opened a store, a business, and he failed at it. He opened 2 more businesses, failed at each one, went bankrupt, the whole thing. I mean, what a mess. Then he tried to run for local politics twice, failed both times, lost. Then he gets the idea to run for president, and he makes it. Abraham Lincoln. Now, that's interesting because if you read this guy's biography, I kid you not, halfway through, you would say, what a loser. But he knew he had something to share with the world. He knew he was able to bring people together in concert and together to cooperate in things. He knew he had talents. He knew he had something to offer. So he kept going. We have another question. Whoops. Can I see that question again? I saw a question pop up here. Okay. We had a question. Oh, here it is. It says, I admire people who don't give up easily, even though how hard they fall. There you go. Exactly. I do too. And it's very interesting because fall you will. I mean, don't ever think you're not, if you go for something that you're not going to fail at times or fall or, have some hard knocks, because it's part of it. Remember what I said. Every great successful person had a series of failures. Not one, not three, not four, a series. But yet they knew they had what it takes to get to their destination. And so they kept going. And that's what it's all about. Knowing you can do it and then do it. Remember, I told you, you've done it. You're a success waiting to happen. You've been a success many, many times. As a matter of fact, you came into this world a winner. Think about it. We've all had science 101 and everything. We know biology and stuff like that, that there are a gazillion sperm racing towards one little egg, right? Okay, you got tens of thousands, 100,000 of sperm running towards this little egg. One of them connects with the egg, and bada boom, bada bing, out comes you. If a different sperm would have connected with the egg, it would have been a different person. But it wasn't. This sperm connected with the egg, and out came you. You won the sperm race. You came into the world a winner. Such a deal. See that? You already won without even doing anything. You're a winner. Remember what I said about walking? We were a little kid, 10 months old, 15 months old, whatever. We saw that, we liked it, and we did it. What happened to that spirit? It's still in there, like Prego spaghetti sauce. It's in there. Start to dust it off. Start to do it again. Start to use it. Start to know you could accomplish anything you choose if you go for it. Okay? Somebody say, oh yeah, what if I try and I just can't do it because I'm not meant to do it? There's not anything really that's meant to do, outside of, what's universally impossible or something. You can't defy gravity forever or whatever, So there are certain things, obviously, that factually, scientifically are, beyond our limits. But that being said, everything that is certainly within your limits, you can do. You can do. And again, it has nothing to do with age. I have so many people that constantly use the age as a crutch. And that's so sad. It's such a cop-out. Such a cop-out. I got my degrees on the GI Bill after I came out of the Army. I was married. I had kids and everything. And I was going to school as a student. Okay, you can do it anytime you want. And here's the interesting thing now. I'll never forget, when I was an undergraduate here at the University of Nevada, I went to school with a woman who was 82 years old. We became friends, and we were both undergraduates going through at the university. And her goal, she always wanted to be a librarian. And she was a grandma, and she told me, she said, Joe, she said, I always wanted to be a librarian. She said, but I had a family to raise and everything. Then after I raised my family, the grandkids came, and then I needed to help them out and everything. And she said, now everybody's grown up and everything. My husband's gone. She said, I decided I'm going to school. And so she became, she was an undergraduate library major. And I'll never forget when we graduated, because she got a job at the local downtown Reno library. And I used to go there afterwards a lot of times for research and things. And it was amazing because I see her behind the desk and she had the biggest smile and was so happy and everything. And it was wonderful because she was in her element. She did what she had always wanted to do. And I think she went on for about another 10 years or something. God bless her. It was incredible. And, but again, 82 years old, she started to go to college. And I thought that was great. And, Grandma Moses was 72 when she did her first painting, I believe. And her and her husband made more money in 1 year than they did the entire lifetime at the farm. Okay. Colonel Sanders, I think he was 64 or something like that when he started, and on and on and on and on. If you go online or something, you can find out all these senior citizens that finally made their discoveries and stuff. And that's cool. They didn't give up. They didn't say, I'm too old. They had something to do and they did it. Again, as my Irish buddy used to say, if you wake up and you're breathing, you still have stuff to do. Okay? It says age is really just a number. Absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, when people ask me my age, I say my age is none of my business. And I'm sticking with that. Okay? So age is none of my business. Again, it's just a number. If you know who Deepak Chopra is, he's a worldwide famous endocrinologist. He says we age because we think we're supposed to. Now, there's more truth to that than you think. What is he saying? Simply this. He said a lot of times we'll think of our parents at our age that we are now. We'll say, oh, yeah, I remember they walk kind of slow. My dad always kind of walked with his head down. My mom, yeah, she used to wear all those dark dresses and things. So we start to emulate what we remember in our parents. And how sad, because you're not your parents, you're you. And you're much more vibrant now, much more alive now. The past doesn't equal the future. Remember that. That is so important when you're starting a new task, when you're trying to reach your destination, when you have a goal for success. Remember that. People say, well, remember how you always tried this and you kept failing? In a way, that's a positive thing, because remember, success contains failures. Okay? Failures are part of the ingredients for success. But remember, the past doesn't equal the future. The French have a real cool saying that says, imagine this, if you have a lake with lily pads on it, and the lily pads double every day, bloop, 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 okay? And it took 20 years to cover half the lake. The lake is now half covered with lily pads. How long will it take to cover the entire lake? Just one more day. Do you understand? If they double every day, and it took 20 years to get to half the lake, it'll only take one more day for the entire lake to be covered. So the past doesn't equal the future. Remember that. Very, very important. Okay? Because you'll constantly, people will try to remind you of that. You know, I have to qualify this because I taught for years. I had a studio and I trained actors for the industry, for Hollywood and New York and so on. And I used to tell them right from the get-go when they would start the acting class, I would say, you're going to get a lot of resistance from your friends. Because what's going to happen, they're going to try to shoot you down. They're going to try to keep you down. They're going to try to suppress you. They're going to say things like, are you crazy? Do you know how hard it is to become an actor? There are so many starving actors out there and everything. Don't listen to them, okay? Because they're doing it not because they don't love you, because they don't care about you, but because if you succeed, it validates that they didn't. You understand? We have a question here. What is your favorite motivational words for life? Oh my goodness. I have to say, first of all, I come from a large Italian family. Okay, there were 11 in our family. Mamma mia. 9 kids. Okay, and my mom and dad were beautiful people. Whoa, excuse me. Gotta disconnect this. There we go. I apologize. Okay, my mom and dad were incredible people. They had great survival techniques, if you will. Let's face it, we weren't, 11 in the family. We weren't very rich. Well, we weren't poor. We were a good, loving family. But my dad always said, no matter what I said I was going to do, I was going to be and everything else, my dad would always say, stop. Don't tell me. Show me. And to me, those were words to live by. I lived my whole life like that. He'd say, don't tell me. Show me. Okay? So to me, that's one of the greatest pieces of advice I could ever get. And my mother, God bless her, she was incredible. She had another famous saying. no matter how tough times were or anything, she'd always say, remember, you'll always find a helping hand at the end of your own arm. Smart lady. You'll always find a helping hand at the end of your own arm. So my greatest sayings, if you will, motivational sayings and things, came from my mom and dad. And it's not a cliche. I mean, they were real. They were valid sayings that I really learned to live my life with. Okay, very important. My dad would say, don't tell me, show me. Okay, because how many times have you had friends say, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to, they're talkers. And that's all they ever do is talk. Okay, do something and let its actions reflect on you. Okay, so don't tell me, show me. And my mother, you'll always find a helping hand at the end of your own arm. It's amazing what you can do. So often we give ourselves such little credit, but you're amazing at what you can do if you go for it. And if you really try, you'll amaze yourself sometimes. It's absolutely great. Like I say, you're prepackaged too. You have all this good stuff inside. You may be the world's greatest poet that we'll never know unless you start writing poems. Okay, we have another question here. Sounds like the Godfather. He, Don Vito Corleone. I want to tell you something. yeah. Interesting. Yeah, Don Corleone, good guy. Well, yeah, I did come from a big Italian neighborhood. As I said, in my town, if you had all your teeth, you were considered a sissy. And my dad, we were Italian. We had to be the good Italians, So he, my poor dad, I mean, he had a job. He had 6 sons. Okay. 7 sons counting me. I forgot. Yeah, I keep thinking I have 6 brothers, but he had 7 sons. Now, can you imagine trying to keep 7 sons in line, especially in a town where there were gangs and trouble and fights and everything else? It was something else. I remember one time my dad lined us all up against the wall, and my dad was an immigrant from Italy. I remember he walked back and forth and he looked at us and he said, just remember, I'm the boss. You're nothing. I remember my brother leaned over, whispered in my ear and said, big title, boss of nothing. But anyway, yeah, it was kind of interesting. We used to fight all the time in those towns and everything else. It was a rough neighborhood. And I remember one time, I used to think I was pretty good, protecting myself, fighting and everything. I remember one time I got in a fight with this one guy. He was about 6 inches taller than me, outweighed me by about 30 pounds and everything. But I was scrapping with him, and one punch, the entire fight was over. He thought he killed me, but anyway, enough of that. But yeah, I do come from a big Italian family that I'm very proud of. There was a lot of love, cooperation, sharing, and caring. And to me, that was, I'd like to think I carried those on throughout my life and pass them on to my grandkids and so on, because we learn through experience. Okay, now that's important. We learn through experience, but we also learn a lot of times from what we hear. And that's something else too, because we have to watch that we don't buy into it if it's negative. I worked with at-risk kids for years and abused women and so on, and you have to watch because, parents, especially if you come from a bad home environment or something where the parents say, you're stupid, you're nothing, you have no worth at all, you worthless little thing, and you hear all that stuff. That might, bother you a little bit, certainly, and everything, but it's not going to be near as bad as if you say it with your mouth. I guess you're right. I am stupid. Okay, you are stupid. Because if you say it with your mouth, it's going to go in your ear and print. Okay? And that's scary. So watch what you say with your mouth. Okay? I'm getting nice comments here about family and everything. Family isn't one of the most important aspects of your life. It's an important unit, okay? And there are some people who come from orphanages and things where there is no family or anything. So the best thing we can do is have support from each other. And if you don't have it from your siblings, your brothers and sisters, you can get it from best friends. Okay, I always say the best counselors are your best friends, if they're true best friends. Okay, best friends are incredible. They're an incredibly valuable person in your life, because a best friend will tell you, if you got something hanging from your nose, or tell you, if you got something, spinach in your teeth or whatever. And that's not easy to do, but a best friend will tell you those things, okay? Because a best friend cares about you. And that's what life's all about. We all need a best friend. Okay, it's nobody goes through life alone. At least you shouldn't. As the old saying says, no man is an island. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child. We can all use each other. We all learn from each other. Thus my books. These books, I tell people, are guidebooks. They're handbooks. They're meant to be used and to share. Okay, they're not meant to be read once and then put on the shelf. No, they're meant to be dog-eared and worn out and used over and over and over again, because hopefully this is what life's all about, us sharing with each other, okay, so that we can bring out all the beauty and wonder and intelligence that we are. The Dalai Lama, wonderful man that he is, he said one time, he said, this planet doesn't need more successful people. He said what this planet desperately needs are more peacemakers, more healers, more restorers, more storytellers, and more lovers of all kinds. And so right he is. So right. That's what life's all about. It's not about money and gathering all of this and everything. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying money is bad. It's not. Somebody says, oh, yeah, money's the root of all evil. No. Money is merely a commodity. It's the grease to make the wheels of life go around. We need money. Let's face it. We got to pay the mortgage. We got to pay the rent. We got to buy food. Okay? So money is a necessary thing. Not a necessary evil. It's a necessary good thing. Okay? But it shouldn't be the end all. It shouldn't be our objective. I taught school for years. I taught at the university. I taught high school. I taught middle school, and so on. And unfortunately, in high school or something, a lot of times I'd be talking with my students towards the end of the semester, and I'd say, well, did you make out your college schedule yet? Oh, yeah, I did and everything. I said, what are you going to do? What kind of major? What's your major and everything? Oh, I'm going to do computer programming, computer technology, that kind of stuff. I say, oh, wow, interesting. Do you like that kind of stuff? No, I hate it. I say, I beg your pardon? Yeah, I don't like it. I said, then why are you doing it? That's where the money is. And you think, how sad. I think that person will never be happy. Okay? That's not the way to go. That's not the way to go. Don't follow the money trail, because you'll never be satisfied. You'll never be happy. Follow what makes your heart sing. Follow what gives you joy. Follow what gives you a good feeling, positive feeling. Okay? That's, there's been a book that says, do what you love and money will follow. And not always instantly, but it's right on the button. It will. Do what you love to do first. Let that be your guide. I used to be brought in a lot of times. I'm a lecturer by profession. Different corporations, so on, would bring me in, different civic organizations. And the state brought me in one time to talk to a bunch of people who were downsized. And these are people who made, 3-figure incomes, phenomenal incomes and everything. And suddenly they were let go. And they were in their 50s and some even in their 60s and stuff. And these people were having a heck of a time kind of reconciling with this, because for so many people, unfortunately, they are their job. I'm an accountant. I'm a lawyer, whatever. They are their job. And when they lose the job, they think they lost themselves, basically. They're wandering around like a ship without a rudder. Who am I? What do I do now and everything? And I would tell them, we'd sit down and discuss things. And I say, this is really a blessing in disguise. Because how many of you liked what you did? And probably, maybe there were 2 out of the 20 or 30 people, And I said, this could be the best thing that ever happened to you. Because now, at this point in your life, you get to reassess where you are and to do some serious thinking. What really makes your heart sing? What do you really love to do? One person says, well, I really love to write. I say, there you go. Start to look for something where you can be a writer maybe a newspaper journalist or a reporter, whatever. Start to find out what is it that makes your heart sing and go in that direction. The rest of your life will be beautiful. Maybe you won't be making as much money as you used to make, but I guarantee you'll have a much healthier, happier life doing what you love. You know, I told you I was a teacher. Sometimes I'd be sitting in the faculty room and between classes or something, the bell would ring, the faculty door would open up, and some guy would come in. He'd be red in the face and his veins would be coming out and everything. And he'd say, I hate these kids. I can't stand these kids. I wish every one of them would drop dead. And he'd go on. And I look at him and I say, well, why don't you quit? He'd say, I'm going to. Just 8 more years, I'm going to retire. And boy, I'll never come back here. And I think, oh, lots of luck. This guy's not going to make 8 years. This guy's lucky if he makes 2 weeks. He's probably going to drop dead, God forbid. How sad. So, no, learn to follow that inner voice. Do what you love, okay? And what you love and everything sometimes might have nothing to do with your job. So don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean it has to be a job. It doesn't mean you have to quit your job tomorrow and suddenly go off finding yourself. It's always kind of impressed me. I have so many friends, they'll say, oh, I took a year off to find myself. I say, wow, when I was growing up, nobody was lost. But what are you going to do? But yeah, start to follow your heart. Start to do what you love, because that's so important. And again, these things inside of you that you are may have nothing to do with your job. For example, maybe you came into this world to be a peacemaker. You could be a peacemaker if you're a cashier at Kmart or Walmart. You could be a peacemaker if you're in a warehouse working. You could be a peacemaker if you're a lawyer. It makes no difference what your job is compared to who and what you are, okay? Maybe you're the kind of person who brings people together, okay? You're the kind of person who's a mediator. Maybe you can still do that at your job. Maybe you could do that with the family, whatever, because that's what you do best. Okay, so what you do best a lot of times might have nothing to do with your job. So I'm not telling you to go quit your job. I'm just telling you to start doing things that bring you joy, that bring you satisfaction, because you'll live a lot longer. You'll be healthier. Trust me, because number one, what we have to realize, the body is a pharmacy inside. That's been validated time and time again. The human body can make virtually any chemical known to man. If we had time, I could tell you stories about different things where the body produces its own chemicals to replicate something that, they'll give you a chemical to make you do a certain thing or something, and then after a while, they'll take the chemical away and give you a placebo, a phony chemical, and your body will still make the chemical that was in that previous pill and stuff. So our body can make chemicals for anything. But interestingly enough, the chemicals are based on your emotions, and your emotions are based on your thoughts. So if you want to be healthy, truly now, this is it. Start thinking healthy thoughts and good thoughts and positive thoughts, okay? Because when you think negative thoughts, for example, and you're very depressed, the first thing that happens, it sends a signal to your mind, we're very depressed today. Okay, we'll slow down the heart. Boop, boop, boop. The heart starts to slow down. We'll start to make some sedatives. So it starts to put some sedatives into your system. We'll bring in your limbs, your arms and everything starts scoping in and everything. And your body starts going into a slow down position, almost like not a shutdown, certainly, but a slowdown. Okay. And the opposite is true when you're happy. We're happy. Okay, I'll start pumping adrenaline. And we start filling with adrenaline. I'll start to get you animated and everything. And we start moving around and everything. And it makes positive chemicals in our system. And that's good. Somebody mentioned earlier they wanted to hear some stories about Uncle Nunzio. If we have time, I can bring a few of those forward. But I was a comedian, as I mentioned earlier. I made my living off of it for 7 years and everything. And I remember I would be interviewed on television shows, and I'd be sitting there and I'd use the term comedic. And then it dawned on me one time, comedic, co-medic. Comedy is medicinal. Duh. It dawned on me finally. Comedy is medicine. Thus we hear, remember that old cliche, comedy's the best medicine. It's not just a cliche. It's real. When you laugh, your body produces neuropeptides into your system. Now, neuropeptides are some of the most powerful healing chemicals the body can make. Isn't that interesting? When you laugh, you produce neuropeptides. They've even been known to work on cancer and different things. Neuropeptides, some of the most powerful healing chemicals the body can make, comes from laughter. We're finding now that tears of joy have a different chemical composition than tears of sorrow. Isn't that interesting? Shows you how the body is forever listening and making chemicals accordingly. So you want to laugh a lot. You want to be happy. You want to think positive thoughts because it affects your health. That's very, very important. It affects your health. And you know the old cliche, when you have your health, you have everything. Okay, it's important that you stay healthy. Think positive thoughts. Okay, laugh a lot. As a matter of fact, I recommend a book by Doug Hall called Jumpstart Your Brain. This guy's incredible. This guy's known as the guru of the Fortune 500 companies. Okay, they bring him in constantly to tell him what they can do to, you know, what the company can do to become more creative, blah, blah, blah. And because he did a lot of research with his team and everything, and it's phenomenal because in his research, he discovered that we are the most creative at 5 years old. Isn't that interesting? We are the most creative that will ever be at 5 years old. They also found out the average 5-year-old laughs as much as 110 times a day. Isn't that interesting? Now let's put that together. Most creative at 5, they tend to laugh as much as 110 times a day. Now here's the kicker. They found 40 years old and up, we tend to lose as much as 85% of our creativity. And the average person 40 years and up tends to laugh less than 5 times a day. Are you getting the connection here? 40 and up, we lose as much as 85% of our creativity. We laugh less than 5 times a day. A 5-year-old, the most creative we'll ever be in our life, laughs more than 100 times a day. Interesting connection, huh? You see, when the Creator put us together, He gave us a lot of interesting stuff that we're now just discovering. And if we learn to use them, wow, imagine how creative you could be if you start laughing a lot. And that's interesting. You know, Norman Cousins, I don't know if any of you out there know who he is or heard of him. He is a great publisher. Norman Cousins contracted a disease where they gave him literally 6 weeks to live. He was a multimillionaire and stuff, rich man, you know, in the hospital and stuff. So he had the ability to, he told himself, this is nuts, I'm getting out of here. So he got out of the hospital, checked himself into a hotel, very exclusive hotel, rented a bunch of funny movies, the Three Stooges and comedy movies and different comedians movies and stuff, a bunch of joke books and everything. And every day he would laugh and have fun and everything. And he basically laughed himself back to health, you might say, because the man lived 28 years later, 28 more years. Norman Cousins basically laughed himself back to health. Okay, laughter is a very powerful commodity. Okay, positiveness is a very powerful commodity because we produce chemicals based on how we think and how we feel. That's so, so important. As a matter of fact, I used to do a lot of teacher workshops, traveling around, you know, bringing teachers together, because a lot of times teachers can be very stressful, and everything else can be very stressful occupation. And so I used to tell teachers, I used to give them this, what I call the GIAMPAPA hint for the day, or tip for the day. And that is, I discovered years ago, when we're born, we all have a particular smile, okay, that's unique unto us. Let's say my good smile, my best smile is this. That's my good smile, right? Okay. When we're born and we make that smile, built into our cheeks are contact points. Okay. So let's say I have the contact points here, and now I make my smile. I'm touching those contact points. It sends a message to the brain, hey, we must be really happy. The brain says, okay, I hear you. We'll start the heart beating faster. We'll put some adrenaline in the system. We'll start to get you animated, and you'll start to feel really good. Okay? Based on your good smile. It's interesting, huh? Now, I got to tell you the kicker here. The opposite is also true. When we frown, we all have our own particular frown. We have contact points there too. So when we frown, buzz, we touch those contact points. Goes to the brain. Hey, we must not be doing too good. We're not feeling too good. We're kind of angry and sad and depressed. Okay, we'll start to shut things down. The heart starts beating slower. Sedatives go in the system, and we come together. So watch your expressions. I used to tell teachers, if you're having really a rough day and everything, go stand somewhere, go to the bathroom or something, close the door, and make your best smile and count to 30. By the time you get to 30, I guarantee the chemicals are already starting to go into your system to lift you out of that depression. Maybe not totally, but at least you won't feel near as bad as you did prior to your smiling. You know, it's really cool. They've actually done tests in rooms where a person will come in and smile, and it literally changes the energy in the room. Smiling generates energy too. We're generators. We walk around generating things based on how we feel. Okay. If we're in a particular emotion, we tend to emote or push out what it is we're feeling. If you're really negative and down and everything, you're pushing out that stuff. We've all been there, right? You can tell that. You know, if you go to somebody's house, a couple's house or something where they had a major argument or something, and you walk in there, you can feel the tension in the house. It's almost like you can slice it with a knife or something, right? They don't have to be saying anything. You can just feel the heaviness, the energy that something negative's been happening here in the house. Okay? By the same token, when somebody's laughing and happy and everything, they're radiating all this good stuff. We like to be near people who are happy. Excuse me. We like to be near positive people. Let's see. Post from Howard Martin. It says, sometimes I forget to take a rest at night because of my job. Oh, interesting. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, because rest is so important. So very important. As a matter of fact, rest is necessary for our creativity in many cases. I hope you can rest. You know, sometimes though they tell us that you can do what they call power naps if you can. 5 minutes or so, just go somewhere and be quiet and try to be as still as you can. And that in itself will help you a bit. I wish I had the magic solution for you and say, you know, oh, Shazam, you know, I'll help you to be restful. But it is hard if you don't get a lot of rest. As a matter of fact, Einstein and a lot of great thinkers, Edison and so on and so forth, say they have never created or thought of anything with their conscious mind. Now, that's an interesting statement. They say they were inspired with an idea, and then the conscious mind took over and tempered it and worked with it. Okay? So they knew that when their conscious mind was shut off, turned off onto something else or sleeping or whatever, then comes the inspirations from your higher self, from your God self, from the universe, whatever, but from somewhere else. This is why this is a true fact now too. It's interesting. Einstein and Edison, and I believe a lot of other great thinkers and stuff, had cots in their office, and they were known for taking naps during the course of the day. I think Einstein took like 3 or 4 naps a day because they said it was during that time that the inspirations came. And then they would wake up and put it to use and work on it from the cognitive mind. Okay? A lot of composers do the same thing and everything. Billy Joel, as a matter of fact, wrote that song. Now I can't think with the river goes over to the ocean and it pours into the ocean. What, I don't know the name of the song, but anyway, he said he got the song in the middle of the night in a dream. Like he woke up and he got a pencil and paper and he said he wrote down the entire song in like 3 minutes. So it came to him to create it and then share. I think it's called River of Dreams, but that's interesting. So think about that. You need to just move your conscious mind out of the way and inspiration will come. So to answer your question, Howard, I believe, or whatever that your statement, you can still be creative by kind of turning your mind off, easier said than done, and just kind of relax yourself a little bit. Through daydreams even, we can be inspired, okay? Dream or inspirations will come to us by way of dreams, by way of inspiration, by taking your conscious mind and moving it out of the way so that inspiration and things can come to us, okay? It doesn't mean you have to sit there on a rock and meditate. No, you could be washing dishes, you could be planting a tree, planting flowers or whatever, just relaxing, doing something where you're not consciously thinking. That's when inspiration comes. There's a great girl, Bob L. Moore, who wrote quite a few books on manifesting and things. And she says she does her best creativity and stuff, her best thinking when she's on the toilet. So, I don't want to, we don't want to go there. But the bottom line is just get your mind off of concentrating on solving a problem or something. Relax your mind. And that's when solutions and answers and creativity tends to come out. As a matter of fact, there's a woman, Pam Grout, who wrote a very creative book. She wrote, I think, 3 books. I think she wrote. Her first one is called E equals MC squared, based on Einstein's great formula. But she says the conscious mind was never designed to solve problems. It was designed for just 2 things: to identify problems and to formulate goals. She says once you do this, then you can let go and take a nap, do the dishes, go for a walk, or whatever, and let your higher self take over. So the idea is to move your mind out of the conscious having to think of something. And that's when the inspirations, when the ideas will come to you. How are we doing for time here? I'm checking things out here. I'm going to be with you for, 6 more minutes or so. Now's the time. If you have any questions, please bring them forward. If you have any answers, I need all the help I can get. Okay, I'm going to be here. So anyway, going back, somebody asked if I could talk a little bit about my Uncle Nunzio, which is getting off kilter here a little bit. But I guess he was a very creative fellow, so I guess we could tie it in that way and rationalize that a little bit. Because my Uncle Nunzio is very interesting. My whole family, my father was an immigrant from Italy. Okay, and he came to Chicago, and so did my other uncles and aunts and everybody. They all came to Chicago. We had a big family, big extended family and everything. Everybody came to Chicago except my Uncle Nunzio. He had to be different. He went to New York. Okay, he always wanted to be an independent guy, his own thing. So he went to New York. Now, Uncle Nunzio couldn't speak any English, but he went to New York anyway. And he found another Italian guy. And it was interesting because he told the Italian guy, said, I'm here in New York and everything. And he said, I don't know the language. He said, I don't want to starve to death. He said, could you tell me something that maybe I can order in the restaurants or something, to keep me going and stuff? And I said, yeah, I know just the thing. He said, why don't you order apple pie? And he said, is it good? Oh, yeah, you're going to love it. So Uncle Nunzio felt, thank you very much. Oh, he goes in the restaurant, next day, orders apple pie. It's delicious. Everything's fine. And this goes on, for about 3 weeks. He's getting sick and tired of apple pie, So he goes back to his friend again in Italian. He says, hey, he says, thank you for that. He said, but I'm getting a little hungry here and stuff. I want to know something else. Can you tell me something else? And his friend says, yeah, why don't you order what all the Americans around here order? Order a ham sandwich. And Uncle Nunzio says, is it good? Oh, yeah, you're going to love it. So he says, ham sandwich? Yeah. It's good stuff. Okay. Uncle Nunzio goes into the restaurant, feels very proud. He's armed with his second set of American words, sits down. Waitress comes by. What do you have? He says, ham sandwich. She says, on rye, whole wheat, or white? He said, no, 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 no. Ham sandwich. She says, on rye, whole wheat, or white? He said, no, 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 no. Ham sandwich. She said, listen, Buster, on rye, whole wheat, or white? He said, apple pie and coffee. You get the idea. All right. No sense of fighting the system, right? But he was a cool guy. He got a little ranch, a little farm-like ranch up in upstate New York, out in the country, and it was kind of cool because he started to make a life for himself. Married my aunt, another Italian lady, and they were really nice, and they were living a really nice, happy life until one day they were sitting home minding their own business, and there was a knock at the door. Knock, 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 knock. He opens up the door, and it's a burglar, you know, with the mask and the gun and everything. You and your wife up against the wall. Wow. You know, sure enough, they both get up against the wall, and, you know, Uncle Lindsay is shaking there, and the burglar's looking around. He's got a big sack, and he starts looting the place, throwing things into the sack, taking things off the mantle, throwing it in the sack and everything. And he's going around, and he looks at Uncle Nunzio, who's shaking like a leaf, you know. He says to himself, I think I'll have a little fun with this bird. Goes over and he grabs Uncle Nunzio, puts him in the middle of the front room floor, takes out a magic marker, and he draws a circle around him. And he says, listen, you put your toe out of that circle even once, and I'll fill you full of holes. Well, poor Uncle Nunzio, you know, sure, I don't move. And the burglar continues to loot the place. And he's going around loading things. He's all set to leave when he glances over at my aunt, Uncle Nunzio's wife, and he goes over there, grabs her, and gives her a big kiss and says, see you later, toots. And he goes running out of the house. Well, by this time, Mamma mia, my aunt is in hysterics practically. She runs over to Nunzio and she says, you cowards, shame on you. What a kind of man are you? Shame on you. And Uncle Nunzio says, wait. What are you talking about, the coward? I thought it was a pretty brave. She says, brave? What are you talking about? He says, shh, don't tell her nobody. But the burglar, every time he turns his back, I put my toe out of the circles 2 times. That's Uncle Nunzio for you. But enough of that. Let's get back to what we were talking about. Creativity, stimulation, getting the desired outcome that you want. Dr. Wayne Dyer says, see all things as you desire them to be. Okay? See all things as you desire them to be. Okay? That's very important. And then act on it. Act as though you already have it. Now, that's interesting. You'll find that in the Bible. Even it says, act as you desire things to be. Act as though you already have it. Act as though you already are that, whatever. As a matter of fact, if you take it and modernize it in Hollywood, for example, they say, fake it till you make it. Okay? Start to become what it is you desire to become. Start to visualize it. Think about it. Very important. Okay? Again, you'll find a lot of tips in this book. What I Will, I Can. Go to the website. What I Will, I Can. The idea is on the website, there's all kinds of interesting information there for you. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a little tip. If you go to this website, there's discounts for the books. If you go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or something, that's cool too. I thank you for that. You can buy books there, but if you go to this site, you can get discounts on the book. The second book, I know I got one more. Yeah, this book, Unleash the Super You Within, this book basically is like a workbook. It's a blueprint for success, if you will. Okay, it'll help you step by step, kind of a fill in the blank. Learn to discover who you really are and where you're going and what you want. And then it'll show you how to get there. This basically is like a journal, tools for life. Something that you can work with and write into every single day. Okay, so check out those books. I think they're very meaningful. They're very helpful. I've gotten comments from literally all over the world. Like I say, Scotland, Brazil, Singapore. People say these books help them all over the place. Chicago, New York, LA, and stuff. We're all going through life together. Let's face it. Let's share things. If we can help each other, why not? That's what life's all about. So again, I'm here for about 76 more minutes or so. If you have any questions, please bring them forward. Now's the time. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. Okay. If you have any answers, please send them in. I need all the help I can get. Let's face it. But I'm honored to be talking with you. I'm here to share ideas. Again, I deal with self-actualization. I deal with self-empowerment. I'm a communication specialist by trade, technically. That's my title. And I enjoy helping people to become all they were meant to become. Not that I'm a magic magician or anything, but I think we need to learn how to tap into all of this good stuff inside of us. And it is good stuff. Trust me. Okay. As a matter of fact, it's all good stuff. Okay. Nobody comes into this world with prejudices. Nobody comes into this world with hate or anger. All of those things are learned. Okay. But we do come in with love, and we do come in with caring and kindness. Those things are innate in us already. We're born with those, and that's cool. Okay. Do you believe in the power of law of attraction? Absolutely. Absolutely. There are a lot of different ways to attract. We are manifestors. We came here as creators, manifestors. And it's very, very important. The law of attraction is very good. There's a lot of books that have been written on it. There's movies, The Secret, and so on. A lot of movies that have been written on the subject. But scientifically, if you look at it, first of all, Einstein even said, everything in this life is a vibration, okay? A rock, a tree, you, me, everything vibrates. Einstein said, if we can raise our vibration equal to the vibration of that which we want, we have to bring it into our life. It's a universal law. He said, like attracts like. So raise your vibration to what it is you desire, and you have to bring it in, okay? You go one step further, Emmett Fox says, everything in the universe is a duality. It's double, two things, okay, in order to create or to manifest something new. You need two beautiful whole notes coming together to make a chord, a wonderful chord. Two whole notes come together to make a beautiful chord, okay? For a coin, you have a heads and tails, light and dark, up and down, a male and a female to produce an offspring, and so on. Everything takes two to make a third entity, okay? That's why I say 1 and 1 make 3. That's what it's all about, okay? 1 and 1 make 3. All right, so what am I saying? Something simply like this. I can give an example, and I gave this a couple of times before. We got a question here. How can you determine if the law of attraction is working? Well, if it appears in your life. I mean, you're trying to attract a new Porsche. If the Porsche is there, then suddenly the law of attraction worked for you. Okay. Let me say this though. The law of attraction always works if you use the right formula, and we'll get to that in a minute, but it'll work in its own time. Okay. Unfortunately, we live in a world of instant gratification. If it isn't here now, it didn't work. That's not true at all. Certain things take time in order to appear in your life. Do you understand that? Why? Because maybe perhaps certain elements need to come into place first in order for this thing to be in your life. Do you understand that? In other words, time is an important factor. So, there's the old saying that said, it's not your time, it's God's time. It's going to happen. Okay. So the law of attraction always works if you use the right, formula and everything, but not instantly and not necessarily right away. It'll be in the time it's supposed to work. And I use the example of an acorn. If you take an acorn, for example, you cut it open and look in there, there's no little acorn in there. There's mush. I've done it. But if you take an acorn, put it in the ground, water it, and let it get sun day in and day out, eventually it's going to become an oak tree. Now, here's the thing. If you water it day in and day out, let it get sun year in and year out, and you go over to it after, let's say, 4 years, and it's a sapling about 3 feet tall, maybe 4 feet tall. And if it could talk, and you take a microphone and put it near the tree, it says, I want to be an oak tree now. It can yell till it's blue in the face. It's not going to be an oak tree now. But if it just closes its mouth and is patient and lets itself get nourished year in and year out, it's going to become an oak tree. So it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen, not when you want it to happen. Okay? So now let me go back to talking about the law of manifestation, the law of attraction. Emmett Fox said everything is a duality. We talked about that. Okay? Up, down. You can't have in without out. Okay? All these things. It takes one to the other. It takes two things to produce a third entity. Two whole notes coming together to form a chord. I told you I use the example of Superman because he's really cool. Let's say I'm in a big empty room and Superman's way at the end of the room, right? And just to show how cool Superman is, I take out a pistol and I aim it at Superman and I pull the trigger. Bang! The bullet's going to go in a straight trajectory right towards Superman. But Superman, because he's really cool and suave and stuff, he jumps out of the way, in a split second, and the bullet goes right past him, okay, in a straight line. Now, if you take a different system, let's say a heat-seeking missile, and you shoot it against an airplane, the plane will go this way, the missile will go after the plane will go up, the missile will go up, the plane will go down, the missile will go down, the plane will go left, the missile goes left, and so on and so forth, until all of a sudden, bada boom, bada bing, the plane's gone, okay? And now that's a system, a heat-seeking system. You could do it with metal-seeking or whatever they program into it, okay? That system is called a teleological system, okay? Now, here's the neat thing. You were born with a teleological system inside of you. It's in there, like Prego spaghetti sauce. It's in there, okay? That teleological system consists of a visual. Anything you choose to visualize, get very sharp in your mind's eye. Details, okay? If it's a person, see the color hair, what your everything, the height, all that stuff. Visualize it very sharply, and then add the second element, which in this case for humans is feeling. Get a visual, add feeling to it. See it, feel it, touch it, smell it. Enjoy it. If you do that, you will manifest it into reality. Okay, but remember again, not in your time, in the time it's supposed to take for it to come into your life. Okay, so it's been said physically, factually, you can indeed manifest virtually anything you desire by visualizing it and adding feeling to it, and thus you create it. Okay, now that's why in kind of a counter way here, you could say that's why a lot of times prayer works. Okay, and I'm not into the religions and stuff like that, but sometimes if somebody's really hurting or something, or needs some help or something, and you're talking, trying to say, please let it be better for that person, let it be good, you're adding emotion to it, and very strong emotions to the visual that you're seeing, and so you're actually helping to manifest it in that person. Okay, not that it's always going to work, but the key thing is the more emotion you put into it, the more focus you put into it, the quicker it tends to manifest. And remember, Einstein said everything is a vibration. If you can vibrate according to that which you desire, you have to bring it into your life, because like attracts like. Got that? Anyway, it's my pleasure to be here for you. Okay, questions, bring them on. I got about 11:06 more minutes here, so bring them on. Okay, I need all the help I can get. If you have answers, I'm here for you. Okay, whatever. Again, self-empowerment, self-actualization. Remember what I said, you are more powerful than you can ever imagine. You have all this potential inside of you. Don't give up on yourself. Never give up on yourself. There's no such thing as an insignificant human being. Okay, when you see a homeless person, that person isn't quote unquote worthless. That person just isn't using all that potentiality that he or she has. Okay? Everything in life is a choice. We are exactly where we are in life because this is where we choose to be, believe it or not. If you don't like your life, do something about it. Everything in life is a choice. Okay. Are you going to live tomorrow? Oh, are you going live tomorrow? Yes, I am. Pacific Standard Time, that's where I am. I'm on the West Coast. I will be live from 1 to 3 o'clock. From 1 to 3 o'clock. Oh, Martin says, thank you so much, Martin. Thank you very much. Back at you. I appreciate being here. So yes, tomorrow on Saturday, I will be here Pacific Standard Time, 1 to 3. Everything, I think the schedules that they post are always Eastern Standard Time. So that would be 3 hours ahead. So I guess according to them, I'll be here from 12 to 3 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be here from 9. It's 9. I'll be here tomorrow from 9 to 11 Pacific Time. 9 to 11. So add 3 hours on that for Eastern Standard Time. And so I guess I'll be here tomorrow from 12 to 2. Correct? I guess. What do I know about math? Such a deal. Okay, but yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm here at your disposal. I'll answer any questions you may have. And any answers you may have, I'd love to get them too. I need all the help I can get. My name's Joseph GIAMPAPA. If you go to whatiwillican.com, you'll find a lot of positive information there to help you, hopefully, to make your life on a day-to-day basis a lot better. Okay? That's what it's all about. We're here to share. We're here to care, to work with each other. That's what life's all about, okay? We're here to be each other's best friends. As a matter of fact, who was the guy, I want to say Chill Wills, but the guy with the lariat and stuff, he said, there are no such thing as strangers, just friends he hasn't met yet. And I thought that was pretty cool. It says, you have a copy of your book with your signature. If you go to this website, whatiwillican.com, order the book and write in there what exactly, give me your name and everything else and tell me you would like a signature and things. I'd be more than happy to write something for you or to you in the cover inside the book. Okay, with your name and everything else. I've signed many, many, many books. And go to this website, order the book, and I will definitely give me the name that you want, and I will sign it. I say give me the name you want because it's interesting. I was a teacher, and it's amazing how many different spellings of the same names there are. I've had Naomi's, Noemi's, Noimi's, and everything else, and it's amazing. I've had people say, my name is Kate with a C and stuff, so I always ask people, tell me the name you want and how do you spell it? So just write there and tell me, and I would be more than happy to send you a copy of the book with autographed signature. As they say, that and a dime will get you a cup of coffee. Of course, a dime will get you nothing nowadays, right? That and, $6 if you go to Starbucks, but that'd be the name of that tune. Anyway, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I see I'm out of time here. Have a beautiful day. And if you have any personal questions, you can write to me specifically at my email at joe@josephgiampapa.com. Okay? It's been a pleasure talking to you, and have a beautiful life. I'll see you tomorrow if you choose to tune in. Tomorrow, Saturday, I'll be here. Ciao.